How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com, and of course, your favorite co-host over at the Locked On Colts podcast. We are back with yet another film session breakdown, talking all about Lou Anarumo and his defensive unit against the Los Angeles Rams in Week 4. You know, on paper, this was a really rough showing for the Colts defense. Matthew Stafford had his way with pretty gaudy numbers overall, but I'm going to make the argument today that this was a pretty solid showing by the Colts defense. They just had a couple of miscues here and there and a couple of just high-level quarterback plays by Stafford that really brought the overall showing down a peg than where it really was on Sunday. So we're going to talk about the good and the bad from this game for the Colts defense. And we're going to start off with the good in here because we like to keep things positive, at least early in the videos. So when we're talking about the good from this game, we have to talk about this first third down rep by the Colts defense that got them off the field on the first drive and forced a field goal. When you look across the line here, the Colts are showing a 5-man pressure concept. So they have 5 guys crowding the line of scrimmage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they're showing man coverage on the back end by having Nick Cross follow this running back across the field. And so Matthew Stafford's getting that blitz read here, that he is getting, okay, 5-man pressure, I have to get hot. And then also we're getting this late safety coming down as well. So then Stafford's brain says, okay, we're getting a 6-man pressure concept. They're going to get man across the board. So I have to get this ball out hot, and he identifies his pre-snap matchup that he likes, which is Puka Nacua, or I think it's actually going to be the tight end coming across the middle here. That's what he likes. That's a quick hot read over the middle of the field. Puka Nacua would be his typical guy to go to, but I think Nacua is running an out route here, a corner route here. So he's going to want to get his tight end over the middle of the field with this late safety coming down and blitzing. It's going to open up that gap where the safety has to now work across some traffic to get down on that route. So Matthew Stafford makes the right read off of the information he's given pre-snap, but the Colts throw a really nice change up in the mix here. So again, we got Bynum coming down late on the blitz. Stafford's brain says, okay, 6-man pressure concept. They're showing 6-man coming across the board. And then linebacker Zaire Franklin pulls out late, jumps in front of that hot read that Stafford goes to off his back foot because, again, this is a free rusher in Stafford's face. He's throwing off his back foot to his hot route where the corner has to work across the traffic, but the linebacker is right there because he's bailing off the line, and the Colts come just inches away from a game-changing interception to start the game. This was a fantastic call by Lou Anarumo, knowing that the Rams like to attack the middle of the field, knowing that Stafford is a savvy veteran quarterback that's going to want to get this ball out hot over the middle. So he's dropping that linebacker right to where that window is going to be, and Franklin just misses the interception that would have taken points off the board for the Rams. So really cool blitz design to start the game. And again, Colts were showing man pre-snap because this backside is in lock coverage, but this other side is running more of a zone, a 4-over-3 zone. And it kind of just helps just muddy that picture a little bit for Stafford and leads to the near interception. So, I mean, so far so good to start the game here for this Colts defense, holding the Rams to 3 and playing pretty well. On this next clip here, we are getting another third down. I believe this is 3rd and 10 for the Rams. They're going to start out an empty and then motion the running back into the backfield to get that pre-snap look. They're getting that zone tell because there's nobody really trailing the running back in coverage. Like, you can maybe make the argument that 25 here, the Colts' third safety, Rodney Thomas, is in man, but for the most part, you're going to read this, I think, as zone. And what the Colts are showing here pre-snap is more of a single high look. Like, they're going press across the board, so you're thinking that this might be some press man. We're going to get like that extra rusher in here. Linebacker is going to be on here, and then we're going to get more of a cover 1 robber look is kind of what they're showing a bit pre-snap. So Matthew Stafford's obviously reading that and saying, okay, cool, cover 1 robber. I got to get to my man beaters and get this ball out quickly because they're going to have a pretty good rush opportunity here with this cover 1 man. But the Colts do a really good job of bailing out of this look at the snap. So we're going to go to the post-snap picture now, and we're going to see how the Colts quickly bail into more of a Tampa 2 look. So now, again, picture what the pre-snap picture looked like. Now we have the third safety dropping deep. over the top here from this safety. Nick Cross, who again is typically your strong safety, he's playing more of the hook zone, is getting some depth here. And then we know this is Tampa 2 because Zaire Franklin is opening up, getting vertical, and he's keeping eyes on the play strength side for any deep posts, deep over routes. Good eyes here from Zaire Franklin. Linebackers getting in here, and we are just getting these guys keeping their eyes in these hook zones on underneath routes to come up and make a tackle. Actually, I think I misidentified. This is Mekhi Blackman in the corner. This is actually Nick Cross coming on a blitz because we're doing this dime defense with 3 safeties that Lou Anarumo likes to run. But yeah, you're seeing this is Tampa 2 across the board. Stafford has to readjust his eyes, but with the extra rushers coming now, so he just gets that ball out quick over the middle of the field to his delayed route to the tight end, and the Colts are able to come up and make the tackle in the play, tackle them short of the sticks. The very next play, they get off the field with a 4th and 1 stop. Exactly what you're hoping to accomplish when you run a Tampa 2 on 3rd and long is keep that ball in front of you, come up and make a tackle when need be, and get off the field. So yeah, this is very, very good coverage and very good execution by the Colts defense on this 3rd and 10. Getting to another play here. Let me move this thing out of the way. And we're going to get quarter halves coverage. So quarter halves is cover 6, I believe is how they tag it in a lot of ways. I always call it quarter half, but basically we're going to get Nick Cross is going to be over here in half the field, like he's playing cover 2 on this side, and this side's going to be in more quarters coverage. So this is really good when you have a difference in cornerback play like the Colts have, where Xavier Howard is just not on the same level as Charvarius Ward, so you don't want him to be as responsible for a full quarter of the field. So when you do quarter half, you give him that protection of the safety over top. He's just going to be more in that flat zone where he can just get some depth and carry it from there and cover it from there. So I think this is a good mix-up the Colts threw in a couple times to kind of protect Xavier Howard. And we're going to see on this play that the quarter halves just kind of locks down this entire route concept that the Rams are going for. They're trying to get a quick hitter. This is before the half. They're trying to get a quick hitter just to move the sticks and keep the drive going. But quarter halves just covers everything, where Xavier Howard stays on that out by the tight end. We're going to get Chad Muma just sitting on that slant route, so that option's taken out of the board. We're going to get the quarters on this side just suffocating the vertical route, and then these 2 hook zone defenders. We're going to curl flat here from Mike Hilton. He's going to come down and play that check down to the running back. Ball is out late, ball is out low, and the Colts get an incomplete pass and force a 3rd and long on the next play. So just everybody being really sound in their coverage, everybody being on top of where they need to be. I like Xavier Howard doing a little bit of rerouting up there too in that switch release. So really good stuff from the Colts defense here. This is completely bottled up, and you're forcing an incomplete pass, or it would have been like a check down, but Hilton would have been there for a 0-yard completion. So everyone's on top of where they need to be on that play there. Another really great coverage rep here by the Colts, and you can kind of see, how well this overall game plan would have worked if Puka Nacua wasn't in the equation, because here Nacua is out of the game with dealing with an injury at this point. So what the Colts are doing is they're having Charvarius Ward travel with Devontae Adams in man coverage. We're going to get lock coverage on this side. We're going to get the late blitz from Cameron Bynum, which is there just to muddy the pocket, pressure the pocket. And what you're going to see is Austin Ajake here, the extra linebacker. He's going to pull off and open up to the play strength side and just help on any routes that are crossing over the middle, and make sure that is protected in this pressure look that the Colts are doing. So when we play the clip, we're getting this 5-man pressure look. Zaire Franklin's coming free. Bynum's taking out the running back. Ajake, who I just mentioned, he is pulling off of the pressure, and what he's going to do is just come over here and protect against any in-breakers, especially because Xavier Howard is just at a disadvantage being off coverage here. And then we're going to get some lock coverage with that safety over the top. And Charvarius Ward is just a fantastic cornerback. He plays this absolutely perfect. Let me restart the clip here so you guys can see just how well he plays this. But look, they're motioning Devontae Adams, their top wide receiver, to give him that free release against Ward, and they're trying to run this out and up. And kudos to the Colts defensive call here. If you're blitzing against an out and up, you always have a good chance of getting some pressure home, because this is a long developing route. But Charvarius Ward stays on top of the route. He reads it all the way, stays on top of it, gets his head around, and nearly comes away with a game-changing interception. One of 2 times that the Colts should have had an interception in this game. They just didn't come down with it, but that is just picture-perfect coverage from a veteran corner. The pressure call is great to force a bad throw, and the Colts nearly take advantage with an interception. So again, really good coverage call overall. You're really liking what you're seeing on a lot of these coverage reps, in the good moments of this game. But yet again, we're going to go to another clip where Puka Nacua is off the field, and we're going to see just how this impacts the game when Nacua is not out there, because the Colts are running just man coverage across the board here. And what they're going to be able to do, because again, you don't have two threats, you just have the one major threat here. We're going to get that man, we're going to get man. And with these two high safeties, because this is your biggest threat, this is your big threat right here. Davante Adams is the terrifying receiver on the field. Even with Charvarius Ward on him, you're going to slice this corner down to get anything that breaks inside to Davante Adams. And that opens up Charvarius Ward to play outside leverage on Adams, stay on that outside hip, and take away anything that is outbreaking or vertical. If they go vertical, both these guys are just going to bracket and stay on top of him. If he breaks in, Ward stays on the outside hip, and Cross takes the inside. If he breaks out again, Ward's already in that position. So when we look at Davante Adams, there's just no way to get him this football on this man coverage call. Let me move that out of the way. And you can see, like, no matter what he's going to do here, there's no way you're going to give him the ball. And Stafford realized this. He's not even looking that way at the snap. And they're able to stay on top of that right there. Stafford has to work back over to the middle of the field against Jonathan Edwards with the tight end breaking across the middle of the field. And Edwards makes a great play on the ball and gets that pass breakup. So, again, a lot of really good ideas and good concepts and good coverage calls here. And this last one, I think, was one of the best overall coverage calls they had in the game. And this is with Puka Nacua on the field. So what we're going to see on this play is the Colts are going to basically be bracketing Puka Nacua on here. So again, we're getting that slice coverage concept with man across the board. But we're going to have Xavier Howard in off coverage to protect against any outbreakers, protect against anything breaking deep, and stay on top of that. And Nick Cross is going to be responsible for anything in breaking on Nacua. So when Nacua breaks inside for a slant, the Colts just have that completely bottled up, and he just has nowhere to go with the ball. And you can see Stafford wants to get this ball to Nacua, but Cross is playing this aggressively. He's on top of it. He is right there on his guy. And then we just got that man coverage across the board here, buying him over top for anything vertical. This is completely suffocated across the board with the Colts bracketing Nacua, and Stafford just has to bail out of the pocket and scramble. And look, Stafford still gets a productive gain on the play here, but we will 100% take Matthew Stafford scrambles over Matthew Stafford throws. So really good coverage here by the Colts defense. Really good coverage call to bracket Nacua on this early down play. And I think, again, you could see in those first couple clips I showed you that a lot of their concepts and what they were doing against this Rams offense did work. They played well within their system. I thought we saw some good play from the safeties, Charvarius Ward, and other players here, but overall, there was an element to this game where the Colts either got out-schemed or overmatched at times. And it's not like the end of the world for that to happen against Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. These are two of the best in the league at their respective jobs. But we do need to talk about some of the negatives here. So this is an early third down. And again, the problem when you have Charvarius Ward on Davante Adams, which they have up here, they trust Charvarius Ward on him. The problem is you have to have somebody on Puka Nacua. And as much as, we hate Xavier Howard, he might be their second best option right now, because Mekhi Blackmon was the guy they traded a 6th-round pick for. Jonathan Edwards right here in their dime look is an undrafted free agent. So you're going to have Xavier Howard on him a lot of this game when you want to run some of these man concepts that the Colts run on third down. And it's just a tough matchup for a veteran corner coming off of not playing football last year. And you factor in some of his struggles this season, and maybe he's not fully there mentally right now, and it's just tough for him in this concept. For me personally, with this being a 5-man pressure look, and you're running man coverage across the board on the back end, so 5-man pressure look, Colts are trying to generate pressure with bringing the 5 guys. You're running man coverage across the board, and you're playing this deep safety here. For me personally, I'm a very aggressive and how I want my defense to be coached. If I'm blitzing and it's third down, I don't really care about protecting against the deep ball as much. I would have preferred this to have been more slice coverage, more just robbing the middle of the field, maybe one of these defenders pulling out and blitzing Cameron Bynum, just because I'm more worried about the sticks on third down than I am about a vertical ball breaking deep, So I don't really know what Bynum is doing or protecting us here from 40 yards off the ball on a 3rd and 7. I think this was a 3rd and 7 for the Colts. So personally, that's just kind of where my big disagreement is here with how Anarumo called this play. And then also, if we're going to nitpick Xavier Howard a little bit, this is a very tough coverage assignment because he's got to work across the flow of his body here. Nacua gets to a position where he is kind of in a two-way go. So when we look at Nacua, when he gets to this middle of the field, he releases inside, so you're thinking it's going to be an in-breaker, which it ends up being. But when he gets into this, we see it with Josh Downs all the time. He has the ability to just use the options to break however he wants to go. He can go. He has the full route tree available when he gets into this situation in man-to-man coverage against a 32-year-old corner who didn't play football last year. It's a really bad situation, and I think one way that Howard could have played this a little bit better, and it's easier to say more in hindsight than in the situation, is you kind of got to treat this a little bit like a goaltender in a shootout situation in hockey or in soccer, where you got to kind of commit to one of these options. So if you're going to drive down again, I would have. Again, it's easier to say in hindsight and as someone who's breaking it down on YouTube, so I'm not trying to be too critical here. But when the guy's inside releasing in this switch release, the anticipation should be more of that in-breaker, so you want to see him just kind of drive down on that. But overall, it's just a tough coverage assignment for a veteran corner that just doesn't have the foot speed or the confidence right now to get on top of that. So you see him kind of hesitate, and once he hesitates there, it's all over. It's an easy conversion for the Los Angeles Rams. And yeah, I think overall this could have been played better by Howard, but I think it also just could have been a better coverage call and more help to the interior there for Howard on that play. So it's hard to really get too much on him. These next two clips here, it's just Nick Cross getting abused by Matthew Stafford. And it's just tough because Matthew Stafford plays football at such a high level. If we look here, the Colts are playing quarter, half again. So again, quarter, half the field here. Cross is playing down here in the box because the Colts are going to their 3 safety sets, which has just been really good for them. And Cross is doing a really good job here, honestly, of selling that he's staying on here. And he kind of tries to make an aggressive play to steal the ball here from the Rams, but Stafford just gets him where he's staying on top of this, selling like it's kind of man coverage, but he's actually a zone defender, so he's reading the eyes of the quarterback. So he's staying on top of this tight end here, selling that man coverage look, and he's watching the eyes of the quarterback, and Stafford looks him off. Stafford looks down at Puka Nacua breaking inside. Cross does a great job of peeling off of the tight end here and bracketing onto Nacua, who has been the threat all game long. But, Stafford's just a different level of quarterback. This is some great quarterback play from Stafford. So let me play the whole clip, and you'll see where Stafford gets Cross to bite down and then pulls it back over the middle to the wide open tight end. At some point, you just got to tip your hat to a quarterback. I actually like what Cross did here. I like being aggressive, going for that bracket on Nacua to maybe make a game-changing interception. And Stafford just does what Stafford does. This is another one where it's tough with Matthew Stafford, where Stafford looks to the right where the play strength side is. The Colts are box coverage here. We've talked about box coverage on this channel a couple times where you're playing first in, first out over top, first out, first in over top, bracketing these 3 with 4 over 3 receivers. Do a really good job with that bracket on that side of the field. So Stafford has to work back to the dig on the other side. And Nick Cross I think he's expecting that this is going to be more of like a deep hitch, or he's overreacting to the running back. I don't know exactly where he's reacting, but Stafford sets his eyes this way here. So Cross moves with his eyes, moves with where the quarterback is kind of reading with the eyes there, and it opens up that window for the backside dig. It's just quarterbacking at a high level, man. It's really tough. Yes, you would like Cross to keep that zone integrity, stay to that inside of the field there, and protect against that inside dig. That's what Charvarius Ward's probably yelling at him after the play here. But also you want guys to make a play and read the eyes of the quarterback and flow with where the quarterback is trying to go with the ball. So that way you can take away windows and not just cover grass, you're covering players. So it's kind of a difficult coaching point here for Nick Cross. And it just comes down to a quarterback making an outstanding play. Sometimes you can do everything right from a defensive standpoint, but you're playing against an elite quarterback that's just on a heater, and that's kind of what just happened on a couple of these plays in this game. This next one, I think the Colts could have been a little bit better with their coverage call, or not with their coverage call, but with their overall execution on defense. But again, you're playing with a quarterback and receiver that have just the greatest chemistry of all time right now, so it's very difficult. But when we're looking at this coverage call, I believe the Colts are going to be in match quarters, so we're going to get quarters. And what we're going to get is a box check to this side of the field. So again, first in, first out, first in, first out, first in the box here. They're playing 4 over the 3. And on this backside here, we're getting the match quarters where we're going to have safety and corner. If this is an in-breaking route, anything that breaks in, they are going to bracket that in-breaking route. So essentially, the way you operate match quarters on the backside of a box check is if this route breaks outside, this guy's going to match down onto that route. So then these two players are responsible for anything that breaks in, or just basically this guy in general. Once this route breaks out, you're anticipating a slant, you're anticipating a hitch, and that's kind of what happens here. And these guys are going to be bracketing down. That's why Cross is playing with pretty shallow depth on this play, to get ready for bracketing Nacua once this tight end breaks outside. So when we go to the playing the clip here, we're going to see that this kind of operates the way we expect, right? Where this guy breaks out, we're going to match down on top of that. So then Cross is anticipating a slant here with this bracket, but instead, again, these two are just on a different level of their chemistry. Nacua just sits down in that open window, and it leads to a completion. I do think Cross and Blackman could have played this a little bit tighter. Like if you're looking at Blackman, you maybe want to stick a little bit tighter to that outside hip. I know you're still technically keeping to your match quarters outside here and protecting against an out and up to help your linebacker, but Nacua's the big threat in this game. I would have stuck a little bit tighter to his outside hip. And Cross, I understand he's playing the slant, but maybe you get a little bit tighter here. But overall, this is a good changeup from a quarterback and a receiver that are just on one. And, the Colts bracket this well, like a slant is coming, because that's typically what you're expecting is the out with a slant behind it. But he sits in that open zone and gets a productive gain on the play. So, again, it's just tough with Nacua and with Stafford, the way that they're playing football right now. But these next two clips I do think are more on the Rams going after the targeted player in this Colts defense. So we're going to go through just these two plays, and I think these were probably the two ugliest reps from an individual player standpoint. And obviously it's on everyone's guy that we have to pick on, which is Xavier Howard. Now, when we look at this play, the Colts are really anticipating more something in breaking, so they're bracketing. I think they're bracketing Jordan Whittington over here, which is kind of a crazy call. I think they're playing left and right here at the corner, so this is one of the few plays that didn't travel Charvarius Ward with Devontae Adams. And yeah, we're sitting on these in-breaking routes or getting that slice concept over here with Bynum sticking over the top. And if we look at how Xavier Howard plays this route, he's anticipating an in-breaker here from Devontae Adams. He's staying to that inside hip. He is waiting on it, and even as Adams gets that on top of him here, he knows he has safety help over the top, so he's more anticipating just that in-breaker and protecting against it. I think the big difference here, though, for Howard is when he starts to break outside, you have to get on your horse and sprint out there. Like, this has to be getting there, like run, get to the ball, because you have protection over the top, but you don't have protection to the sideline. And if we look at where this ball is snapped on the opposite hash. There is a lot of field to your side of the play here. Like, we have to anticipate the outbreaking route as well, because that's the side of the field you're on, especially with more of the condensed look that they started from. So Howard it's like he thinks that he's got the sideline help and he's got the over top help, so he kind of 50%s this play. And as a result, like, it's just way too wide open and uncontested. This has to be like the second he breaks out, you're in a position where you can explode out of your stance right here. Explode out with him and do what you can to close that ground. And I understand he's not the quickest footed player at this point in his career. He's 32 years old and he still hasn't ramped up fully from not having a training camp, but it needs to be better than this. It needs to be better than what they get on this play from Howard, because again, the second that you see that break, run full speed. You have help over the top. If he breaks vertical from here, Bynum's going to help you. So this should be selling out to get out to there and be like, this is like the oh shit moment. Like I need to get out there, and it just doesn't happen from him. It's just lackadaisical, and it leads to a big completion for the Rams. And the very last clip we're going to talk about here, I think, is just another play where, one, I think the scheme could have been better here, which we'll talk about, but also from Howard, like, you got to just know the situation and know what's going on here. I mean, this is to the short side of the field now. So if we look where the hash is, it's on this side of the field. So, like, there's not much grass out here to get out vertical on or get to the outside unless you're going to run like a fade route here. So if I'm Howard on this play, you have to be playing inside leverage on this receiver. This is Puka Nacua again. And Puka Nacua is a great receiver, but he's not known for being this, like, slot fade or just like fade threat here. So head needs to be on the inside shoulder. We need to be shading inside because this is where all the field is. This is where Nacua is fantastic at winning, to the middle of the field. So I don't know why we're playing this just head up on Nacua. I really don't understand just that decision here from him. And then we play like again, he retreats off the line here. This is 4th and 2. For the game, basically. This is for the Rams to tie the game with like 5 minutes left. Why are we retreating off the line? Don't give ground. Fight to the inside. Stay with the inside shoulder, and don't let him win across your face because you don't have help there. Bynum is help, but he's not help right here. He's help back here. So you have to protect that inside shoulder on this play. I just don't understand the approach here from Xavier Howard. And for as much as I want to get on Xavier Howard for this, because I am just frustrated with how he plays this technique, the more frustrating part is Charvarius Ward playing over top of Jordan Whittington on this play. I don't understand why Charvarius, and this is a play where, like, you already have Mike Hilton over Devontae Adams. Like, let's get Ward over top of Nacua on 4th and 2. This is 4th and 2. They probably convert regardless because Cross just gets killed by this tight end here on the out route, but man, I just, so many things about this are just wrong to me, where Ward should be over Nacua or at least over Adams. Like, I guess if you don't want to put him in the slot there, like, I don't know why we got Ward traveling with Jordan Whittington on 4th and 2 to tie the game. And then we have Xavier Howard just playing straight up, and he's bailing out of press against Nacua and allowing that inside shoulder release. Just so much wrong on one play, and it leads to the touchdown for the Rams. But all that to say, again, I know I just went through quite a few negatives and some issues here. I think this was a good game for the Colts pass defense. They were just a couple miscues and mistakes away from having a really productive showing. I thought a lot of their plan of attack was pretty good. They just came up short in key situations, like a couple of 3rd downs, the 4th and 2 there that we just talked about, and the one I didn't talk about, which is Mekhi Blackmon falling down on the 88-yard touchdown, because there's not really much schematically to talk about on that play. But I think this Colts pass defense is in a good place. I think they're going to just get better and better from here. They do need to keep finding ways to kind of protect against Xavier Howard in coverage, because there are some overall concerns there. And I didn't like some of the effort when he had Brackett and help on his side. These are situations where you got to be 100% even when you have help defense. But yeah, I think this Colts defense is going to be in a good place by the end of the season. I'm not terribly concerned with the direction that they're going right now, and I think we'll be talking more positively about this team come November and December with a lot of the things they're doing on tape right now. So overall, at the quarter mark of the season, Lou Anarumo, some issues here situationally, but I think he's been a really good DC for the Colts, and I thought he had a really good plan of attack for most of the day on Sunday. It's just at the end of the day, Matthew Stafford is a pretty darn good quarterback, and it's tough to just hold him in check all game long. But I'm not worried about the long-term future of this Colts defense with Lou Anarumo. I think they're going to be in a good place by season's end.